up YouTube? Knight's Edge here again. Got another little well, kind of like a review slash disassembly for you. This is the Spyderco Pacific Salt 2 on loan to me by Mr. Eddie. As you can see, it's got no pocket clip on it. Screws are stuck in there. I'm gonna mess around with it, see if I can do something about that. Before we get into this madness here, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want more content. If you want to listen to me ramble on about knives more, I really appreciate it. Thanks to all my Patreons and channel members, and really appreciate you guys. So Spyderco, and this is, you know, the full serrated, which of course only Mr. Eddie would be a huge fan of. The Pacific Salt 2 comes in LC200N blade steel, fairly similar to a lot of other Spydercos. Let's go ahead and I'll do a quick overview of it. Get out calipers, tape measure, all that. We'll treat it like a normal review here for the first part. Might even do like a separate video. I don't know. We'll see how long it takes. So from the tip of the blade all the way to the end of the handle, you're looking at 8 3/4 inches, every bit of a full-size knife. About 3 7/8 if you go all the way back where the blade meets up with the handle there, and cutting edge on it 3 1/2 right on the dot. So every bit of my definition anyway of a full-size knife. See the blade stock thickness here, got 107 thousandths there. Behind the edge goes down to about 26 thousandths, a little bit different for a serrated edge there. 426 thousandths on the handle thickness. Go ahead and do some size comparisons here. Get out the cold steel knives 8010, right, and the Demco knives 8020.5. that's the slicer version. So a little bit I don't know, about right at the same length as the 8010, but definitely nowhere near as bulky, right? And see, it's not anywhere as thick as the 8010. All right, so let's get out. Got the Ontario Knives Rat Model 1, Ontario Knives Rat Model 2. So definitely way larger than the Rat 2, and good little bit longer than the Rat 1. Let's get out, let's get out some Spydercos here. Got the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, Spyderco Para 3, so a little bit longer than the Paramilitary 2, and a good bit longer than the Para 3. Put those up. Let's see, here's another one. This is fairly close comparison, ergonomics wise and hardware wise anyway, right? This is the Indela, right between the Delica and the Endura. I would say, I mean, looking at it, the Pacific Salt 2 is more like a, like a corrosion resistant Endura, right? You could definitely make that comparison for sure. All right, put that one up. Go ahead and do weight here. Pretty light. I don't know, I'm gonna guess probably around 3 1/2 ounces. 2 1/2 ounces, way off. So well under the ounce and inch ratio for sure on that. Pretty lightweight thanks to those FRN handles. No pocket clip on it. I guess that's how Mr. Eddie carries it. All right, so we'll go ahead and get into the disassembly part of it. Which side do you want to start with first? I would say this side, right? Because this looks bolstered out. All right, you don't have anything there. You don't have anything there. So we'll go ahead and disassemble it from this side. I'm thinking, I don't know, it might be T6. I'm thinking T8 for some reason, but yeah. Should have started with T6. I was just kind of curious as to the internals of this thing, I don't think it's running on anything. I don't think it's running on Teflon washers. I don't think it's running on phosphor bronze, or which, I mean, that their reasoning for that might be you know, the corrosion resistant factor. You know, they don't want an extra item in there that could potentially corrode. Take that one out. It's pretty long screws. I'm trying to keep them up top in the order I pulled them out in. No Loctite on them. I don't think. I don't see any Loctite. So these are all T6s. It'd be better if they were T8. So you can see these are already starting to, it's like somebody's, I don't know if it was Mr. Eddie or somebody else, it's taking this thing apart before, for sure. Got the pivot's a T8, so that's good. Probably got that D-shaped pivot barrel, which a lot of Spydercos have, it seems like. Would be my guess. Alright. Pull this thing off. So yeah, no washers, nothing. Alright. Don't have any Teflon washers, you don't have any bronze washers, you don't have any bearings. You got this little bent wire that acts as the spring kinda that pushes the lock bar up. Alright, when this thing opens up, it opens up, that notch goes in that hole, and typically that spring pushes it down, right? But this is not typical because the other scale's off, right? So we'll go ahead and pull that lock bar out. Put that there. This is, I don't know, it's like a piece of bent stainless stock, maybe. It goes in there. Fairly clean. A lot of times, especially when something's got this much wear and tear on it, if I disassemble it, you find all kinds of gunk and goo and stuff. I mean, there's a little bit of stuff in there. So yeah, no bearings, no washers on that side either. Let's see if I can get one of these little cleaning deals here. Oh, I got a microfiber cloth, that'll work. Wipe away a little bit of that goo and build up that's in there. I usually have got some alcohol pads sitting around somewhere, but I don't know where they're at. Let's see. Here we go. Usually got this stuff ready, but didn't really decide to do a disassembly till right at the last minute. Mr. Eddie gave me permission to do it, so I was like, yeah, well, let's go ahead and see what's in this thing, you know. Clean this off. Usually alcohol wipes will work pretty good, unless there's something crazy in there. Alright, and that's already fairly clean, it looks like. Doesn't really look terribly dirty to me. But we'll go over it just in case. Now the problem Mr. Eddie's got with this one, seems like, to me anyway, that the screws are broke off in there. Now I don't know if I can fix that or not. Probably not, would be my guess. But if you look right there, right-handed tip up, that's where you would carry it at, and you can see those screws are broke off in there. I don't know. This might be like a send back to Spyderco type of deal or something. Maybe some heat. I could use a little bit of heat to get those out. They definitely don't have the Torx attached to them, so you can't screw them out like that with a regular Torx like you normally would. But my main curiosity with this thing was whether or not it ran on washers or bearings. That was what I was wondering about the most. So, yeah, pretty cool. I like how that little deal works there. Find something new every time you take one apart, I tell you. This thing runs on here, I believe, right? It runs on there. Is that where that went? I think it is. Oh, this thing keeps falling out. Maybe it went the other way. Maybe it went the other way. Oh man, you guys got the luxury of rewinding. So I think that's right. Yeah, that seems right there. Go ahead and put this back on. See where we land at with that. Yep. All right. Now, there's normally, if I put something back together, take it apart, put it back together, there is a, you know, I'll put a little bit of KPL or some kind of lube there, but with this, it's just running on that plastic pretty much, right? Which, again, I guess that would be the intent of the Salt series. You know, I don't think they did that by accident or anything. That back on there. Make sure everything's lined up and start putting the screws back in. I am a big fan of using some Loctite whenever I put the screws back together. You know, this blue Loctite, of course. Not don't really mess with they call it the devil's red Loctite too much. That will definitely make you do some cussing. You take something apart that was put together with that. Spyderco has in the past had that before too. So a little bit of blue Loctite on this one. You can kind of hear and see that that T6 wanting to strip out and putting this thing back. Never been a big fan of T6s at all. I'm wanting to talk because I did strip out that T20 on Steven's MSI. But that was a false T20. I use that as, you know, I mean, I know it's not an excuse, but really, how was I supposed to know that Microtech has false T20s? Should have had a captive pivot, closed-in pivot screw instead of a T20 bit or a T20 opening on there that you can't use. Like, that makes no sense at all. A little bit of blue Loctite on that pivot. Yep. And there, that was our T8. Another good thing about a knife that you know, if you've got a knife that's got a single bit size, is you don't have to keep swapping bits out, you know. Which this really isn't, you know, this isn't complicated or intricate at all, really, compared to a lot of stuff. You know, this is fairly simple, but it still does have those T6s on it, which have the potential to, you know, strip out. Usually right whenever you don't want them to. Usually right whenever you're finishing up. You're getting that last crank on there, that last tighten and turn, you know. And sometimes whenever you're trying to undo something, you know, you're trying to break one loose and it's being frustrating, and you know, even if you do put a lot of pressure into it, sometimes with that T6 it will strip out fairly easy. So this is something to bear in mind whenever you are disassembling a knife that has T6s. Now I did look around in my collection of aftermarket, or maybe not aftermarket, extra, I guess, Spyderco clips and screws. I do have a clip I believe will match this one, which Mr. Eddie can let me know if he wants it. I'll have to ask him, see what he thinks about it. Yeah, that's a little tight. I don't know if you can, maybe not. Can't quite reverse flick it. I don't think I can reverse flick this one either. Oh, almost. Yeah, pretty close. Pretty close on that one. But on this one, yeah, no reverse flickability-ness on this one. But a little bit of blade play actually. The main attraction on these is not their fidgetiness or their really not even their looks, right? Because I mean, it is not the prettiest knife in the world, but the fact that LC200N is a extraordinarily corrosive resistant steel, and you don't have to worry about bearings or washers rusting out in there, you know. That is definitely the draw of the Pacific Salt too, and all of Spyderco's Salt series. Now I do have a Native 5 Salt, the Magna Cut version, and I swapped the scales out. These aren't terrible scales, you know, but there definitely are some better scales out there for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna have to look and see. Actually, let's see, some extra. Yeah, I do have this one. I'll get a hold of Mr. Eddie, see if he needs an extra clip. He probably doesn't, you know. I'm sure he's got like 1,000 extra Spyderco clips, but yeah, that one matches up. It's just a fact of getting those out, which I could drill them out, take it back apart and drill them out with a little small drill bit. That's not really too much of a problem, but the problem lies in thread back in there. So anyway, pretty decent little knife, you know. I'm not gonna put it on my most recommended knives playlist. These run around 130 bucks or so, I think, still. You know, LC200N, not a terrible steel, fairly edge retentive, and also extraordinarily corrosive resistant. Way better than H1 or H2 in my opinion. Seki City, Japan's where these are made, same place as the Delica and Della Endura, and Centofonte. So yeah, that's it, man. Spyderco Pacific Salt 2. I really appreciate Mr. Eddie. Sorry I couldn't get these screws to come out, man. It's like you broke them off in there pretty damn good. No, I am going to talk to Mr. Eddie after. You got one right there that you can still get in, but the other two are definitely broke off in there. I am going to talk to him, see if he wants that extra clip that I got. You know, maybe that'll help him out a little bit. I really appreciate him letting me use his awesome knives, you know, knives I otherwise wouldn't have got to experience. And yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed watching the video. Hit the like button if you like the content, subscribe if you want more of it, and I'll see y'all on the next one.